Up on mute. Becca's going to be checking the comments.
She hasn't come in yet. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
well,
Let me just text her real quick and we'll leave it there.
yeah.
Um, let's see.
And we'll see the comments, we'll
Yes.
the chat by way as I lean forward to see the computer. Toby will see the comments
because Toby's wearing progressive lenses. Okay.
Sheila's wearing $3 cheaters.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again. That's the green button.
My cats are going to lose their mind in a moment, of course.
Let's see, where are we? There we
go.
go.
Do you want to put it off of that gallery and back into?
I'm going to do play from start. I see what you're saying. Make that small. Okay.
Yep.
Oh, didn't mean to do that. Okay, so what's going to happen because the chat box just disappeared is that if you have a question, unmute yourself and please ask. We have no problem going off on tangents. We do it way too frequently, which is why we have a
slideshow.
Yeah, that's it. So don't be afraid to jump in with questions. And we're going to start. We're talking about submission. Okay.
And Keanu Reeves. Hold on.
Yeah. So both of us are Keanu Reeves fans. Yes. Sheila is the best-selling author of Flower Town and the Widow File series. She writes suspense and thrillers. And the Widow File has my favorite villain of all times, which I think we're talking about that. We're doing a villain workshop at RWA.
Yes, we are.
And anyways, it's my favorite villain. So she's nailed it. I'm excited. Anyway, I'm thrilled to work with her. I write romantic suspense and mystery, and I was the past president of Kiss of Death. We do give workshops, retreats, and more for genre fiction writers is typically what we focus on because there's not a lot for like all the genres in our area. Yeah, it's a lot of poetry, memoir, stuff like that. So
and we do believe that like romance writers learn from talking to sci-fi writers, talking to horror writers, talking to thriller writers. Like everyone learns when you're in genre fiction, you learn a lot about pacing and what was required in the story.
Okay, so there we go. So what is a submission package? So it's what you need to have together before you query your agents and publishers. It's going to include a synopsis, a query letter, and a pitch. And the pitch is basically the blurb and the log line, which as you can see is part of the query letter. The synopsis is typically what you're going to give the agent if they request. So that's like the last piece that you have to put together. I know there's somebody.
Sorry, it's my cat. It's just losing his mind.
Okay. And the query letter is again going to contain the blurb, the log line, and requires comparable titles. So that's what comp titles. When somebody says, "What are your comps?" That's what they mean. Is what are the comparable titles to your work? Okay. So if you're indie publishing, the synopsis will actually help you market your book.
Mm-hmm.
The blurb is a paragraph or two that you will use on the back of your book. It's usually distilled down from your synopsis, or if you're like me, I write the blurb first and then build the synopsis. And then researching comparable titles also helps you market the book. So all of these things, even if you're indie published, are going to help you. And for those who are on the side, we have an old Spider-Man meme on the side and says, "So you just finished the first draft of your novel?" And he says, "Yeah, I'm thinking about publishing it." And then of course the editor laughs and laughs and laughs. Okay, so what's really key to understanding is that publishing is actually a very small world.
Yes, ma'am.
So you have to make a great first impression. The questions you need to ask yourself is your manuscript written? And if it's not quite done, but you could get it done in a month, you're probably pretty safe, assuming that you've been editing along the way. If it's not nonfiction does not need to be written ahead of time. Nonfiction is different in that you just give them the synopsis, this is what I'm going to cover in my book.
And you have to be able to validate why you're the person who can write nonfiction, why you have the platform and the expertise to handle this nonfiction experience. Whereas fiction, they don't care who you are, but they want to know you can write a book.
Yes. And so if you don't have your manuscript written and it's not nonfiction, why do you need to pitch right now? Now, the answer to that is, of course, I have an opportunity. Like that is a valid reason to be like, well, I'm going to a conference and there's agents there and I'm this close to done. That's a reasonable answer. But if you don't have that situation, then maybe wait.
Take a breath. You have time, especially if this is your first book. Finish it. Have it read by beta readers. Have it read by people who will be very honest with you. Find a good critique group, because you don't have a chance to make a first impression. You only have one chance to make a first impression.
Yeah. And again, it's a small world. So, I mean, if you're very gracious about it and very kind and it's not quite ready, the agents and editors won't hold that against you. But if you're kind of rude about it, they will hold that against you. And they talk.
Yeah.
Okay. Has your manuscript been professionally edited? I don't know. It's one of those things where I actually, oh, look, there's Becca. Where?
She'll be taking the comments. If you have questions, put them in the comments. Becca's here.
So Becca's here, and Becca and I met about 10 years ago because she's the one that told me to join RWA. And I did not have an editor, and Becca is an amazing editor. So we have actually written several books together, and now she just does editing. She still works with me on my work. My early work is shit, and that's okay because it's fine. It's a fun story. The dialogue's great. I just can't care, right? It's done. I don't want to go back.
Yeah.
But every time I write a new book, it's better. And what I've learned is having beta readers tell you, this doesn't work. I don't understand why the character did that. You know, picking out those things and then having somebody go through to read it, to edit it, copy edit it, even if it's your best friend who's an English teacher, it does help the agent and the editor feel more comfortable taking on your work.
Now, does this mean you have to pay? It's your first book. You're just giving this a try. You have to pay $5,000 to have it edited? Absolutely not. If you know somebody who's excellent at grammar, ask them to do it. You know, maybe take them to lunch, give them a couple bucks, see what they'll be willing to do it for. A lot of people are happy to do that. There's a difference between copy editing and critiquing.
Yes.
And critiquing is, how is the story? A polishing editor is like, does it read like it was actually written by a native English speaker? Like, is the grammar correct? Are the idioms correct? Is it consistent?
Yes.
Continuity issues.
Yeah. Okay. All right. When you begin editing your first draft, it's Dumbledore saying dark and difficult times lie ahead. Soon we must all face the choice between what is right and what is easy. So that's what I mean is, have you edited? No, really hasn't been edited. So, and part of editing like a new book, if you've just written one, is really truly have those critique people read, you know, critiquers or beta readers read the whole book, because they may pick up things that you don't, like your character not having any motivation in the story at all. Becca sometimes is very mean to me, very mean. So, but it's like those things, it feels awful, but it's not that hard to fix. You know, it doesn't take too much to layer it in, but it makes a big difference on your first impression. So really have somebody look at it.
This is so important. Comp titles, everyone has a terrible time with comp titles, right? You've spent months and months and months trying to come up with an original storyline, an original, you know, get your voice in there, your unique voice. And they're like, well, what's it like? And of course you want to say, it's not like anything. Well, if it's not like anything, there's a reason it hasn't been published, right? It has to have some sort of comp. Now, this doesn't mean it's the same plot. It's like, what is the feel of it?
Yeah.
Like it's like on that Amazon, like if you like this, you'll like this.
Yeah.
That's what comps are.
So I've found some fun places to go to research comparable titles. You might want to screenshot this, and also I'll be posting this up on our website at Ask IGW. If you miss it. But bookbrowse.com and literature-map.com are both great places to help you find a comparable title. Your librarian is awesome at helping you find a comparable title. So if you're writing a book, like, you know, a romantic suspense, and you're like, well, it's kind of like a Stephanie Plum, but it's a little more gritty, you know, they'll know what you're talking about. They'll be able to find that person.
One thing to avoid though, don't if you're writing like high fantasy, be like, it's just like George R. R. Martin. Well, like that's the biggest name in fantasy there is. Find something more specific. Everyone wants to be like Stephen King, like Sandra Nora Roberts, right? Like
Rebecca Yarros.
Get more contemporary and as specific as you can.
Yeah.
Like who would you be next to in the bookstore? Who would you want to sit next to on a panel? That kind of thing.
And this is a fun tip. If you're indie publishing, this is really helpful because when you go in and put your keywords in, you can add those authors into your keywords. So then it'll pop up when somebody's searching for that author, your title pops up too, and you'll know they'll like it, right? Because it's a comparable title. So that actually helps as well.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. Learning something new with Toby every day.
Okay, so you're looking for the same target audience. Who is your book for? Right? So you're looking to find titles that work with your target audience. It can be about the same topic. It doesn't have to. It can be have the same tone. It can have the same tropes, which in romance, and I know we've got some romance people here, put your tropes in, let them know what your tropes are.
That's like friends to lovers, found family, surprise baby, that sort of thing.
Yeah. And then the most important thing that I can ever tell you is to read your genre.
Oh my God. Yes.
How do you know where your book fits on a bookshelf if you don't actually read other books in your genre?
And read the contemporary titles in your genre. You know, like it's like Agatha Christie. Well, that's great. That's 100 years ago. A lot of the rules have changed. The standards are changed. You can refresh it. You can do a mashup of it, but you need to know some comparable titles that have been published within the last 5 years.
Yeah.
So read your genre.
Yeah. Okay. So do we have any questions thus far? And Becca's going to check the chat for us. Alrighty.
Let's get into the technical aspects of it.
Okay. So it's Castiel saying, I've got this. I don't got this. The blurb. This is the back cover copy or the description for your book. And people have, like, I like writing the blurb before I write the synopsis. It's just, I don't know why. I like short and then I go long. Anyway, yeah, she goes the opposite.
Of course.
So it begins with a hook and leaves with a question that is genre specific. So, you know, in romance, will they find true love? In mystery, will the killer be found? You know, those kind of things. Typically, they're between 120 and 250 words. You have both for different needs. On Amazon, the first 120 words are shown, and then you click to read more. So you do want to have a shorter blurb to hook your reader so that they read more. But then for the back of your book, you're probably going to want something a little bit longer.
That's where you get, you know, when you're looking for a book, that's what you read. You look like, oh, it's like a small library in England has found a ghost. That's how you know if you want to read the book. Yeah. It lets you know what the genre expectations are. It doesn't answer the question, but it does lay out the thing that's going to make you want to read the book, the question of the book.
Yes. So again, read your genre. You can just go to the library, although check the dates on the books because the library has some old stuff. But, you know, read your genre, go through Amazon, whatever, and go through the books that are currently, and just see how they're doing it. Another fabulous place to help you get in the mood on how to write a blurb is looking at official movie promos on YouTube. You're going to follow that same formula. The whole point of the blurb is to market your book. You're hooking your reader. Okay. So fun fact, we created a formula for this because I realized it really is your character is in a normal world, but this inciting incident happens. Now there's a conflict and the genre promise question is implied. That is literally what the blurb is. My example right here, Jack Reacher, The Killing Floor is the first Jack Reacher book. It's sold millions. It's been made into a movie. It's been made into a television series that is so fabulous. So ex-military policeman Jack Reacher is a drifter. So we know what our character is in the normal world. He's just passing through Margrave, Georgia. And in less than an hour, he's arrested for murder. That's our inciting incident. Not much of a welcome. All Reacher knows is he didn't kill anybody, at least not here, not lately. Okay, so that's interesting. That's
leading into the genre promise. We know it's going to be violent. We know he's going to be a dangerous man. This is not a patsy walking into like blindly into a dangerous situation.
Yep. But he doesn't stand a chance of convincing anyone not in Margrave, Georgia. That's our conflict. Not a chance in hell. So we know, again, this is a suspense thriller type story.
It's an explosive, it's a dynamic thriller. And
yes.
And so, there's going to be violence and they let us know right away.
Yeah. But also the genre promise is that justice is going to be served, because every genre has a promise. And you can go to our website for more information of like, what does my genre have a promise of? Obviously for romance, it's unconditional love. But for mystery, suspense, and thriller, it's that some kind of justice is going to be served. Okay, romance introduces the love interests and the conflict, keeping them from having an HEA, a happy ever after, as well as the external conflicts. So we're going to go to Queen Nora for this one.
That's all hail Nora.
Yes. Okay, so this is, of course, a #1 New York Times bestseller. And they like, she has the things. So her log line is basically Nora Roberts delves into the world of elite firefighters who thrive on danger and adrenaline, men and women who wouldn't know how to live life if it wasn't on the edge. That is her log line. And she gets to use #1 New York Times bestseller, Nora Roberts. Okay. But I want you to look at the introduction of both characters, because this is one where there's 2 love interests. I'm going to say if you have 3 or more love interests, typically you're going to pick just one and then briefly mention the other love interests in the next,
like for reverse harem. That's what
that kind of thing. So little else is as dangerous as fire jumping, but there's also little else is thrilling, at least to Rowan Tripp. Being a Missoula smoke jumper is in Rowan's blood. Her father is a legend in the field. So we are introduced to Rowan in her normal world. Returning to the wilds of Montana for the season feels like coming home, even with the reminders of the partner she lost last season still lingering in the air. So now we have her conflict. This is her emotional baggage that she's going to try to fix. Then one of the best of this year's rookie crop, Gulliver Curry, is a walking contradiction. I know the names always crack me up.
Sorry.
I know.
It's like a Mad Libs game.
I know. I actually taught a kid whose name was Grant Steele King. And we're like,
that's like Zach Luke Brandt.
I know. That's why he's an asshole. Okay. But yeah, Gulliver Curry is a walking contradiction, a hotshot firefighter with a big vocabulary and a winter job at a kid's arcade. So we get his normal. So he's kind of a hotshot firefighter, which is one of those guys that they like rappel into the fire. They're surrounded by fire and they fight from the inside. My nephew tried that. He's a firefighter. He did that once. And he's like, those guys are insane. Okay, so... And though Rowan as a rule doesn't hook up with other smoke jumpers, Gull is convinced he can change her mind.
There's his challenge.
Yep, that's his, there we go. So everything is thrown off balance when a dark presence lashes out against Rowan, looking to blame someone for last year's tragedy. Okay, so this is their book challenge, the overall challenge. Rowan knows she can't complicate things with Gull. Any distractions in the air or on the ground can be lethal. So we have her motivation for trying to keep things cool. But if she doesn't find someone she can lean on when the heat gets intense, her life may go down in flames.
Now we know Nora Roberts can pull off a book. Obviously, she's done a few.
Yeah.
Look what's not in here. There's no secondary characters, a little mention of a dead lover, no secondary characters, no subplotting, no the actual dangers they're facing. It's just about who they are walking into the story and what they're going to face together. The rest fills out the book and you'll have that in the synopsis, but the blurb is just the top of the story.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. And don't be afraid to throw questions in the chat or unmute yourself if you have any. Okay. So now that we have our blurb, we're going to look at log lines, which are also called taglines in advertising. They call them taglines. So it's basically a hook to capture the reader's interest, which will help the agent sell the book to the publisher. And I'm literally telling you that for romance, my romance homies, add your tropes. This is where you add your tropes. Okay. For example, it's one of the examples is 5 Kingdoms, 1 Throne, Winter is Coming. That's for George R.R. Martin's books, right? And it does, you're like, what does that mean? If you're a fantasy person, you're like, ooh, 1 Throne, 5 Kingdoms, that's interesting. I do love,
again, because the promise of fantasy is community, is
yes,
culture, society.
Yes. So Charlie Sanders has it all: sciatica, myopia, and a dead body on her lazy boy. That's for Too Sweet to Die. That's
a cozy mystery.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then a guy, a gal, and a hitman walk into a forest. Kiss Bang Boom. That's a romance, romantic suspense. So it's just a hook. Like,
for Flower Town, it was Secrets Can Kill.
Oh God, that's good.
Right? Thanks.
Yeah. And again, take a picture of this or look at this later. Screencraft.org has a section for the best movie log lines screenwriters can learn from.
Look, a lot of times in our workshops, we talk about movies instead of books, not just because there's so many books, but nobody is better at log lines than Hollywood. They know how to hook you on a story. Don't be afraid to use their expertise. They've already done it.
Yeah.
So like on your TV, like when you're going through your TV guide, if people still do like the movies or what the movie's about or the show, that's how you write a log line. Notice what pulls you in. What are you watching? What's the genre? What's the consistent theme in like romance, like on Hallmark romance movies or in Netflix murder mysteries?
Yeah. So that's it's a great resource for all of us to just take a peek at that. Okay. So
any questions up to blurb and log lines? Anything y'all want to talk about? You good?
I mean, we're whipping through this. So we've done comparable titles.
Yeah.
We've done the blurb. We've done the log line. So now we are ready for our query letter. So we didn't talk about pitches though, but this is where we're going to talk about pitches. Pitches, bitches. Okay. So, so when you get to conference and you're sitting across from the screen or the agent or whatever, you are going to feel nauseous and scared and horrified, and it's just but they love you. Like, they love books so much. They're so happy you're there. It's scary for them too.
They know you're nervous.
Yeah.
They know what it takes to write a book. You're not the first author who has maybe perhaps vomited during their query. You can't do anything to frighten them.
Yes.
So don't be afraid if you have to put this on paper, if you have to have an index card. This is not Broadway, man. You come in and be like, I'm really nervous and I want to tell you about my book. Absolutely fine.
Yes. And so typically the way most pitches work is you sit down, you introduce yourself, they introduce themselves or whatever, and you've got, they call it the elevator pitch. But in a pitch session, really all you're going to do is say, I'm so excited. I have this, 70,000 word romantic suspense. Completed. Yes. And it's about the blurb. And this is my log line. And it's just a conversation starter. So, oh, yay, Scott's here. I was worried about you, Scott.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
Hi, Scott.
Yeah. So really all it is just the conversation starter, right? So then they're going to ask you questions about it. And it becomes a normal conversation at that point where you get to brag about how awesome your characters are and, how fabulous your story is. And they get a sense of who you are, you get a sense of who they are. But your pitch is basically, you just start off with, pleasantries and the blurb and the log line.
We do a lot of pitch workshops. And if you come to IGW, the genre con, and you're going to pitch to the agents and editors, we have a mandatory workshop the first day in the morning. And the biggest thing we have is, you have 6 minutes to pitch. people have a 5.5 minute pitch. It's like, no, babe, no. Your pitch should be at most 3 minutes. And even that's pushing it.
Yeah, it is.
Because you want to give them time to ask you questions.
Yep.
Like, because they're going to like, oh, is it like this? Is it like that? And what happens here? Give yourself breathing room. If you can't explain your book in 3 minutes, you have not perfected your query.
Yeah. Yeah. And the other thing about IGW is one of the things we do at that mandatory pitch workshop is we get into little groups, and we've got editors and other, you know, publishers, other people there. Like even Jen showed up to the last one, and we sit down in a group and we hammer out the pitch and get it refocused and rewritten so that it's something a lot better. And actually, you know, y'all, we should do this regularly. Like you need, because it's hard. It's scary. And you're going to lose your mind. You're going to go blank.
So don't be afraid to have it in writing. Yeah. And work on getting it out at a normal speed. Don't, because you know, you're going to be nervous. You're like, anyway, it's a 500 order. Yeah, I hope you like it. Ha! And then the agent's like, are you all right? Get it so you can calmly describe it. That's why you have a log line and a short blurb.
Yeah. And they do want to know, like, what's the word length? Because your length of your story is one of those things where it tells them whether or not you've read your genre.
Yeah.
So if you have 150,000 word romance, contemporary romance, they're going to be like,
thank you so much for applying. Bye.
Yeah, that's just not for me, right? You got to stay within your standards. If you have 150,000 word fantasy romance, that's different.
It's still too long.
Yeah, 120 is really as high as you should go. Because,
and even then.
Yes, but I'm going to say the actual machines that make the books only go so high. So don't go over 120. And the secret is you want to stay under 120, because when you translate it into other languages, it's going to take more words. It always does. So anyways, fun tips.
Side note.
Yeah.
This is why we have a slideshow, because we will just wander out of here, man.
Yeah, I was like, oh yeah, we should do pitches. But yeah, so the blurb and the log line is your pitch. Okay, so our query letter. So now you
there's a question in the chat that I think is
something
I want to hear.
Okay. Let me see.
Did we lose Becca?
I don't know. I'm looking.
Let's take a look.
Okay. It says no. Okay, so
that's a good question. The question is, do you reveal the twist? Not in your pitch, your blurb, or your log line. When you write your synopsis, which we'll get to next, all the secrets are revealed.
Yes.
What they want to know now is in the blurb and the query, can you hook them with the mystery?
Yes.
Can you promise there will be a twist? You mean you can be like, yes, no, and an explosive ending you'll never see coming or something, that's fine. But when this is what they're going to use to sell to the reader, and you don't want to give your secret away.
Yeah. So it's like, think of it, this is truly the back cover copy. Now, during the conversation, they may say, oh,
what's the twist?
Yeah, what is the twist? And then you tell them.
Yes.
Okay. That was a great question. Thank you, Tejashree.
Because in the synopsis, which we'll get to, you have to lay it all out. You can't keep any secrets.
Okay. So the query letter is pretty simple-ish. Scary, but still simple. So you're going to write, dear, correct pronouns and spelling of their name, please.
And get their gender right. And now most people are very, very clear about their gender. Like it's not, most people are putting their pronouns in there. Get it correct. If they go by Ms. as opposed to Mrs., get that correct.
Yeah. Your first paragraph is going to be how we met. So I would say something like, we met at the RWA or the IGW genre conference. I was so thankful for your request of my manuscripts. You're just reminding them why they're reading your letter.
If you have not met them, if they have not requested this, if you are querying them cold, say, I found you at this person, you represent an author I respect and I feel we'd be a good match.
Your manuscript wish list said you were looking for cowboy fantasies, and I have the perfect book for you, kind of thing. So
you want to give them the impression you didn't just pull their name out of a hat. You're not just sending it to every agent in America. They want to know that you've done a little bit of research and you know what they represent.
So paragraph 2, I usually start with like the log line, and then I'll do the blurb. And then I'll go a little bit into this book is great for the audience of people who like, which is the comparative titles, MG Beaton or MC Beaton, and blah blah blah. And I'll name a few people and the titles that it's similar to help them know who the audience is, who are they selling this to,
and to let them know that you know your genre.
Yeah,
because they want to know that you are aware of how the industry works.
Yep. So the third paragraph is your bio. If you have any special skills, like you're a chef and you wrote about a chef, include it here. If you've won any writing awards, if you haven't, that's okay. You write about your hobbies, your pets, your family, just something so that they get kind of an idea of who you are. And then the sign up is just like, thank you for your consideration, your time, whatever you want to write. Then your name and your contact information.
Don't just send it out like Moses in the reeds, man. Give them a way to reach you.
Yeah, give them your email, give them, because they may not respond to it. They may print this off. You don't know. So you want to have your email, your physical mailing address, and your phone number on there at the very least. You can include your website and your Facebook and all that other stuff. But typically just make sure you've got your name, your email, your phone number on there.
You can include your social media if it is salient to your book. Like
Yes.
if like my social media is just about raccoons. So unless I'm writing a raccoon novel, that's probably not going to be important. You don't need to include that. Now, say you're somebody you're not in any writing organizations, you've never won an award, and your book has nothing to do with your life. You can just say, I'm a longtime reader in West Virginia who is, excited to write. You don't have to dazzle them. They just want to know you're a real person, a sentient human being who understands that this is a business.
Yes, and they may stalk your social media. I know I always stalk potential agents and editors' social media because I want to make sure that we're on the same page.
Like, for example, Lulu pitched at GenreCon last year, and the agent who pitched her had a cat, like a new kitten. And of course, Lulu's cats run her life. We were talking about Jules earlier. And so that was a connection they had in their query.
Yes. So like, even if you're not, like if you are one of the world's biggest fan of, let's say, some kind of, I don't know,
Legos
or something, and you find an agent and they also are a fan of Legos, that's where you want to include it, just so that they know that, hey, we have this connection, because you're going to have a business relationship with this person possibly.
And they're going to know that you actually researched them.
Yeah.
Look, these are real people trying to do a very difficult job. They're buried under thousands of queries every single day. They're looking for reasons, this sounds brutal, to kick you off the pile.
They are.
They want to know you're a real sentient human being who can carry on a conversation, who understands how the world works, that you've written a book, you finished it, and this is a business. So just keep it human.
Yes, keep it human. And coming back to that, following all the rules. You will get requests at the conference, and then they'll tell you to go to their website and see and submit there. You need to follow their rules. If they want it in Times New Roman size 5 purple, they are literally checking to see if you read the rules, and they will yeet you if you haven't. So follow the directions. Okay. So who to query? Well, if you're going to a conference, they're going to tell you who's accepting what.
They're very clear on their websites, and on the link on IGW for GenreCon, Toby did an amazing job of listing them by their name, but also by genre.
Yeah.
So you can click around and see who has the thing that's closest to what you are writing.
Yes. And those comps that you did, find out who represents those authors, because they may be looking for the next person who's doing something like that. Writer's Digest has a regular feature introducing new agents. You can find that online. You don't have to buy the magazine, but the magazine isn't that expensive, although I think they've actually...
And you can get it at the library. They have it on Hoopla, so
yes.
Do that.
Manuscriptwishlist.com lists what agents are looking for. I'm going to strongly recommend you don't query agents that are not looking for your book topic or genre.
It is an extremely small industry. Agents move from house to house. They go from acquiring editor to senior editor. they will remember you. If they say, I do not want books with children in danger, and you send them a story about human trafficker, they're going to remember your name because you've irritated them.
Yes. And no disrespect to either Scott or Randall, because we know them, we love them, we know that they would never do this. But this is one of those, it's not always a man.
Somehow it's always a man.
Yeah. So it's like, it's
not all men, but
not
somehow
all men,
always a man.
So this is one of those things you just have to be careful about. Query Tracker is another place where you can look. They allow you, it's free. It's a free service, Query Tracker.
Is it an app?
It's online, querytracker.com. So you can put in mystery, and then it'll give you a comprehensive list of everybody who's looking for mystery. You can even filter it by who's accepting queries right now. And for all of those that we've just recommended, what you need to do is also see what it is they're looking for. So somebody could be looking for a mystery, but they're not looking for the mystery you wrote.
Right. They're not looking for a procedural, or they're not looking for a gritty urban mystery. They want something funky and weird.
Yeah. So fantasy can be many different kinds of fantasy. So you want to make sure that you are actually pitching your book to somebody who's looking for that particular style. Conferences may have opportunities to pitch. We actually do have a conference coming up. We now have a virtual option, so you don't even have to come to Huntington because they ran out of hotel rooms.
Such a fun story that is.
So you can, for $50, you can, and for another 50, you can get all the workshops, and Jen Graybill is going to be there. Ooh. It's going to be fabulous. So conferences may have opportunities to pitch. Again, you want to look through that agent's website to see what it is they're actually looking at. Manuscript wish list is not always as up to date as the website. Now, some of them only use Query Tracker. They're like, just go to Query Tracker. I'm not updating everything. It's just on Query Tracker.
And they're very good about making that clear.
Yes.
On their website. They don't want you, they're not trying to trick you, right? If they say everything's on Query Tracker, go to Query Tracker. They've laid it out for you. This is not a puzzle. This is not the Sphinx, right?
Yeah.
They want you to follow the rules because they are looking for the next big book.
Yeah, they like their job. They actually do love it. Other opportunities, I don't know that Pitch Fest is still a thing. I think that may have ended. But Savvy Authors tends to have a Pitch Fest type of thing. Social media, stalk your agent to find common interests, see when they're accepting, because sometimes they close because they've received so many queries. They just need to clear out their email inbox before they continue. And again, see who they represent and if it's a good fit. So again,
that comes back to comps too, right? Because it's like, say someone's like, I like cozy mysteries of a certain type, and you go and they may not be as good as yours. I mean, let's be honest. Like, there's a key to every lock, right? Yeah. So if you don't like the books they're representing, don't pitch to them.
Yeah. So just beware. Okay, what a query letter contains. We went through this, explain how you chose the agent, give brief details of your book, genre, word count, comps, the log line, the blurb. You might need to add more details about the book, maybe not. Add a brief bio, include your contact information, proofread this a lot, give it to your friends, give it to everybody, to make sure that there are no grammatical or spelling errors.
Also, and we don't have this on here, but also give it to your friends and ask them if it feels like your book. If you've written this funny, bubbly, like Lulu Smith writes, she's on the scene here. She writes this hilarious, madcap, crazy kind of profane fiction. If her query letter is like, Dear Agent, I have a powerful story of a lawyer who blah, 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 blah. Make sure it matches the feel of your book. This is your first impression.
Yeah.
If you've written some very, very dark slaughter mystery, don't be like, hey, kids, I've got a great title for you. Ask your friends, the people who have read the book. They'll tell you if it feels like you.
Yep. Queryshark.blogspot.com goes through other people's query letters and points out what's good and what doesn't work. And so that's kind of a good resource to kind of, if you're afraid to show it to your friends, maybe go there first and
Yeah.
Fix it up, zhuzh it up. And then I always take it to Becca
Right.
and have it zhuzhed up because she's read it. She knows what I'm doing. And she knows that sometimes I need a lot of help.
Yeah.
Okay. This is an example. And for those of you who are going to the RWA, I want you to pay special attention. The woman I pitched this to Wild Rose, and she said it was the best query letter she ever read. I actually decided to not go with her because I didn't like the contract, and I'm a control freak. So again, dear Ms. Blah, thank you for participating in the RWA Kiss of Death Pitch Fest this year. Mistletoes, a 70,000 word completed romantic suspense manuscript, features a Christmas time story, a grumpy hero, a twist on the enemies to lover trope, forced proximity, combined with a woman on the run that can kick ass when she's not taken by surprise.
Those are the tropes.
So I've got 5 tropes in there. If you are pitching to Harlequin, you need at least 3. So they really like 3, I'm just going to say, but 3+ is great, right? So romance is the only genre that wants you to identify the tropes, because I have just told them the 5 categories of readers that are going to read this book, because we know romance readers are like, I want forced proximity. I want, hotel room, 1 bed. That's what I want. I want, blizzard. So then you add the blurb. Mine was way too long, but it worked. And again, when you're doing romantic suspense, you've got I had 2 main characters plus the suspense. It does tend to be, it was still a page, but it was a long page. And then my bio. So again, include all your contact information, legal name, address, phone number, email. You may want to include your website and social media, but you don't have to. But basically, I mean, it's just the blurb. That is my blurb. This is where my blurb goes. My bio went there, all the good stuff. So it's not a lot, but if you're my romance homies, know your tropes. If you have questions, email me. I'm at askigw.com. I want us to rock this. I want you to go to RWA. I want you to get 5 requests, 6 requests, whatever. I want you to rock this.
Now, for folks who are writing mystery, thriller, and suspense, which is my jam, instead of tropes, you think about subgenres. Like it's a cat and mouse thriller. It's a burned out cop, blah, blah, blah. It's a locked room mystery, which is kind of the same as tropes, but it's the subcategory because they just don't approach it that way. And it's neither is right. It's just how each genre works. And I know horror has got, it's a monster horror. It's a hell horror. It's, it's the subcategories. Let them know what category it falls into.
Because it does tell them who the audience is, and it tells them that you've read your genre. Okay, so things to remember. Your submission package is you selling your work. The publishing industry is for profit.
Yes.
They are investing thousands into your book. They're going to have to pay somebody to edit it. They're going to have to pay somebody to look at it. They're going to have to pay an art director to create a cover.
A lot of people touch your book.
Yeah, then there's the layout and all of the other stuff. You must follow all guidelines for the publishing house and or agent. They will just toss it if you don't, because they don't want to work with somebody who can't follow the rules.
They have so many submissions. They're just looking for reasons to cull. They're just looking for the easiest things to cut.
Yep.
And good books, I'm sure, have been cut because people didn't follow the rules.
Well, I mean, and good books have been cut just because the person was like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
I mean, just J.K. Rowling and Charlene Harris.
Yeah.
They were like, ugh, I feel bad that I didn't take that Sookie Step test.
Yeah.
So this is your first contact with the agent publisher. Be professional and get critique from others before you submit. And then check Query Tracker for how long it may take them to reply. For some, like for Harlequin, they really do stick to that 12-week. But for others, it's, more than 3 months. It could be 6 months. It could be a year.
And it depends on what time of year you query. If you query right before the holidays, you've got to add on 3 months because from Thanksgiving until February, they're catching up. They're over the holiday slump. They're going through their slush pile. Yeah. It is. And I know we've talked about this a lot with our queries. If you haven't heard from them in 3 months, it's all right to email them and say, I'm just checking in. Thank you so much for looking at my book. If you never hear from them, at some point, you've got to just let it go.
Yeah.
Give yourself 6 months.
And they'll tell you too, if you don't receive a reply, it's a no. Like some of
Some
them
do,
Yeah,
yeah.
some do. Most don't though. Most are like, I'll reply. Okay. Writers.
Oh, this is the worst part.
Yes. When people say it's just a synopsis and hell is just a sauna.
Right.
I don't like synopses. I don't
No
like
one
writing
does.
them. But she came up with a great plan.
Thanks.
So we do have a longer version, but today we're just going to talk about the 2-page synopsis.
But if you, when you, because we don't have enough time in this workshop.
Yeah.
Go, if you really don't know how to write a synopsis, go to the 18-page questions, because it's better to have a 10-page synopsis that you can cut down than to try to blow up a 2-page synopsis into 18. Some people want a long synopsis, a medium synopsis, a short one. Depending on if you're sending it to, if someone wants to review it in a newspaper, they may just want the synopsis. You can't have too much information about your book.
Yeah. And the synopsis is where you give all the spoilers.
Yep.
There's no holding back. There's no, you're not, don't be sneaky. It's a book report. You're telling them exactly what happens in the book.
You just spent 3 months showing, not telling. Now you have to tell, not show.
Yeah, that's the
It's
other
just,
thing.
It's present tense. This happens, this happens, this happens, this happens, this happens, that happens.
And you're supposed, and you try, although it's like I can do really well in the first couple, like the first few paragraphs or whatever. You try to have your voice. You try to make it like I write romantic comedy, suspense, whatever. So I'm always lighthearted.
Mhm.
She's very dark.
I'm very dark.
Yeah.
So when I write my synopsis, my beginning feels dark and ominous. My ending feels dark and ominous. The middle's like, and then a bunch of stuff happens.
Yeah, like literally, because it's like you can't,
Yeah.
you just can't. You can't get 70,000, 80,000 words into 2 pages. And it's typically a synopsis is like 1 page single spaced or 2 pages,
Mhm.
or 2 pages double spaced. So it's really not a lot of real estate to get that all in.
It's essentially what happens in the beginning,
Yes.
what kicks you into the first, ends the first act, what ends the second act, and how does the book end?
So we have 5 questions. So we took those 18 questions and we're like, okay, how do we simplify this? So these are examples of Kiss Bang Boom, which is the book I wrote. But who are they at the beginning? So I just basically introduced both characters, and I'm going to show the conflict that's between them, which is Paige sat on his lap and kissed him under the mistletoe at last year's Christmas party, which his girlfriend didn't like. So it cost him $1,000 in legal fees, a black eye, and his favorite sweatshirt, but it did successfully end a toxic relationship.
So it captures not just what happens, but the tone. Like,
Yes.
It's like funny, mayhem,
Yeah.
vengeful people. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, you're going to include like, who are they at the beginning, who they are, and that try to get the meet cute in there. What has rattled their world?
Yes. What kicks it off?
Yeah. So basically this book has a lot going on at the very beginning. And so I just try to like shorten that down as fast as I can, but also show that Riley and Paige are now kind of stuck together. Romance, they have to actually spend time together.
Rude.
There has to be a logical reason for them to spend time together. If you have questions, email me. Who do they think they are in the middle?
Their world is blown up. Like, we knew who they were. Something blew their world to bits. This is their first regrouping. Like, oh my God, I can live with this, or I can't live with this. This is never going to work. Just who they are in the middle before they come into their power.
And for romance, this is the point where they actually see that, oh my gosh, I think this guy, I think we could work this out. Like this could be my person, right? So in the middle, they're kind of riding that high in the romance section. And they're looking at like, if they had emotionally healed their baggage, they can see the person that they would be if they kept going on that road. But
for mystery, thriller, and suspense, it's what is the easy solution? Is the law going to come save them? Can they run from the killer? Can they outsmart them? It's the solution that comes before they've really found their courage.
Yes. So what decision do they make? So they're there in the middle part. Now they have to make a decision. And like she said, you know, are they gonna typically, if this is just a short 1-page synopsis, 2-page, whatever, this is where in the longer one, you're gonna show the fact that they try one thing and they fail, because they always fail.
Yeah. But this is when do they finally, like, they
Get their courage. Yeah.
They finally do, like, she taps into her anger, like Flower Time. She taps into her anger to find the power to take this on, or to do the unspeakable.
Yes. And I love this meme, that moment when you witness karma in its full glorious splendor, right? That's where we're at. So that's the 4th question. And the 5th question is who they are at the end. So think of the 4th question as this is where the climax is. And then the 5th question is who are they at the end? So for romance, of course, and they lived happily ever after. But you also have to answer the genre promise in this last question. So if I'm writing romantic suspense, there has to be justice served as well as a happy ever after. Mystery suspense thriller,
there has to be justice. If it's fantasy, there has to be culture that has survived. A culture has dominated.
If it's horror,
the light has been found or lost.
Yeah. So you got to know what your genre promise is, and you need to put that in your synopsis, because what the agents and editors are looking for is that you've hit all the genre expectations, you've told a good story, and you've shown character growth. That's what they're looking for. Okay.
Any questions at this point?
Yes.
I know we're kind of throwing this at you fast.
Yeah. All right.
I know. Okay.
Top 5 things all agents and actually editors hate: writers who don't research who they are querying. Nothing.
Number 1 pet peeve.
Yeah, nothing like getting a children's picture book when you only take YA. Writers who don't follow instructions. I'm being really serious about that. Yeah. Writers who send long query letters. Keep it to a page.
And now with email, obviously a page is a different thing, but you understand page. If you don't understand pacing, you have bigger problems with query.
Yeah. Querying before completing the manuscript. That is not true for pitching at conference.
Right. And we can go over that, and you can ask us questions about that later.
Rude.
Number 5.
Rude, unprofessional behavior, especially after receiving a rejection.
Don't answer unless it's like, thank you so much for your time.
Yes.
But even then, if they rejected you, you don't have to.
Yeah.
It's awkward for everyone. Just leave.
Yeah, it is. It is. So those are the 5 things you want to absolutely avoid. If you need more help, you can talk to us. Absolutely email us. We are also available for conferences. That's an old slide.
Wow.
5/31/2023. But definitely send us an email at askigw@gmail.com.
We also do one-on-one consultations online, like 15 minutes. We have 15 and 30 minutes. We've never needed anyone who ever needed 30 minutes.
Yeah.
15 minutes is plenty. We can almost always diagnose the problem in 15 minutes.
Yeah, seriously. It is really, it's so much easier when it's not your work.
Yes.
Which is why good critique partners are so helpful.
Yes.
You could pitch at IGW GenreCon. It is August 30th and 31st in Huntington, West Virginia.
Well, you can't get a hotel room.
Yeah, you can't get a hotel room.
Thanks, Zach, Luke, Brian.
Yeah, Zach Bryan. Okay. ZB.
Is that what it is? Zach Bryan?
Zach Bryan. I looked it up. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyways, so you can join us virtually. Go to askigw.com for the details. By the way, IGW stands for Intensive Genre Workshops.
Yes, in case you're wondering.
Yeah. It's $50 to pitch via Zoom on August 31st. And if you want to get our workshop audio recordings, since we have some fabulous workshops and panels, that's an additional $50.
We will tell you, if you are, like, say you want to sign up for the $50 pitching, and there's only one agent you want to pitch to, if something happens that agent is not available to pitch at the day of the event, we will give you the refund.
We'll refund you. Yeah,
this is not a high money event. Right.
So our agents, and I took a list, I wrote it down, and there's no way you could read this. So Courtney and Chandra Hahn of Henlo Press, they're going to be in person, but we can figure out a Zoom situation for you. They are looking for sci-fi, horror, mystery, suspense, thriller, romance, YA.
They're a very small indie press, but they're very hands-on, and they're curious.
Yes.
If you have something that you're like, you really don't know where it fits, try Henla.
Yeah. Literary women's fiction, upmarket commercial fiction, some nonfiction, and memoir. Kelly Morin from Rowan Prose Press is looking for paranormal, fantasy, horror, mystery, suspense, thriller, YA, and women's fiction. Alexander Grana from Corvisiero Agency is looking for fantasy and horror and romance. Diana Fox from Fox Literary is looking for sci-fi, romance, YA. Jesus.
Laws.
Y'all. Literary, women's fiction, historical, nonfiction, and memoir. I'm going to say right now that the people that are asking for these things, you absolutely need to go to their website to see what kind of historical she means.
Right.
And like nonfiction, is she looking for cookbooks? Is she looking for Pilates? Or is she looking for, a biography on, Lincoln? So you really do have to look at that. Elizabeth Croft from Kimberly Cameron Agency is looking for mystery, suspense, thriller, YA, literary, women's fiction, upmarket commercial fiction, horror. I'm sorry, not horror, historical. Oh,
Ella.
Becca, man, she's like all over the place. Let's see.
And again,
historical, nonfiction.
Like mystery, see what kind of mystery. Do they want procedural? Do they absolutely not want procedural? Like look and see what kind of mystery they mean specifically.
Because it's like, Michael Connelly is very different than cozy mystery, but they're both mystery.
Right.
So really take a peek. She's was Elizabeth Croft, historical nonfiction memoir. Gina Panettiere is looking for paranormal and fantasy, sci-fi, horror, mystery, suspense, thriller, women's fiction, note, not literary, and upmarket commercial fiction. Katie Reed with Andrea Hurst is looking for romance, women's fiction, upmarket contemporary fiction, and historical. Lydia Caldwell, also from Andrea Hurst and Associates, is looking for paranormal fantasy, sci-fi, mystery, suspense, thriller, romance, YA, upmarket commercial fiction, and historical. Megan Fraser from Creative Media Agency, which I'm super excited about, is looking for a mystery, suspense, thriller, romance, women's fiction, and upmarket commercial fiction. Sam Farkas with Jill Greenberg is looking for horror, suspense, and thriller. She is not looking for mystery, my friends. She wants the dark. Romance, YA, upmarket commercial fiction, some nonfiction, and memoir. And then Dr. Uwe Spender of Triada US Literary Agency is looking for, again, just suspense and thriller, romance, YA, literary women's fiction, nonfiction, and memoir. So if you like any of those people and you want to pitch to them, go ahead and sign up for that because we'd love to have you.
And it is first come, first served. Some agents are going to get full very quickly. Some might have a little bit more wiggle room. I would not wait. If there's someone that's like, you're like, I need that person, let us know right away because we rank, your entry comes in, at the sooner it gets in, the sooner you're on the list.
Okay, so Charlene, sorry I didn't get to your question till now. What if the writing award I have is from 10,000 years ago? Put it in there. Put it in there. Absolutely. You won it, man. You earned it.
Also, though, rank your awards. Like if you won 3rd place at your county libraries right off, maybe don't mention that. It might make you look a little bush league.
It was actually Marshall University. I won 1st place in 2006. So
oh my God, put it in there.
Time ago.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
And you should be at IGW. You should be at the conference.
Come on,
I am. I actually booked the last hotel room. They told me over the phone.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so the Huntington conference is at Ask IGW. Thank you, Becca, for taking care of that. You're the best. Do they tell you their rules or do you have to find them out for yourself? Yes, you have to find them out for yourself. They make it hard for you. You do have to jump through hoops because they are testing to see whether or not they want to work with you.
And here's another thing too that enough people don't talk about. Like say you sign it, this is your dream agent. It looks like everything you want is what they represent. You get on with them and you get a bad vibe. Don't be desperate. You're going into a business relationship with this person. If something seems off to you, if you just don't like the way they act, you don't have to say yes. I mean, if they ask for your manuscript, submit it, talk to them. But you're not a beggar in this situation.
Yeah. Like I said, I got a contract offer and I was like, she wanted it for like, I think they wanted like 5 years or whatever. And I'm like, I want my rights back after 3. And they said, no, we don't do that. Well, guess what? Rowan Prose Press gives it back after 2.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, no. You know what I mean? You can get the deal you want. But it's so exciting to have an agent. It's so exciting, but it's like, it has to be somebody you can really work with.
Yeah.
Let's see. Scott asked, how much input do you as the author have, or is it more you sign up with them and they take it from there? Oh no.
Yeah. You're going to do a lot of work because they want to know that they want to give your book the life you want it to have.
Yeah. So they'll send you an editing. They'll do an editing, and then you literally have to go in and do all the work. And then you send it back to them, and they may give you more notes, or they may send it on to copy editing. But chances are they're going to send you more notes.
Yeah.
Right. Let's see. Charlene asks, I can't find the 18 question thing. Can you send a link through the chat?
Sure.
I think it's on Udemy. I don't think we have it on the website.
Yeah, I couldn't find it on the Ask IGW either. I was going to ask the same question.
It's on Udemy. Although we could,
put it on there.
It is. Well, I'll find the link.
I'd help, but I'm stupid.
Let's see. For romance, do you recommend an epilogue? Oh, that's a great question. So it's pretty common right now, but not every book, but it's pretty common. There's a thing where people like their happy ever after. They like to see that they're still together a year from now or 2 years from now. So that's easiest to do in an epilogue, right? And so there's a lot of books there's a lot of books that have an epilogue. There's a lot of like sports romances do not, right? They'll have a whole series, and so you get to see the characters still together in the next book with the next team player. So if you've got that situation, you don't have to worry about the epilogue because it's pretty clear at the end that these two are together. And then in the next book, you get to see them together and they're, making the commitment or whatever. And it is truly happy for now, which does kind of crack me up because happy ever after used to mean, well, they get married and have children. Well, it doesn't mean that. It just means that they are in a committed relationship. But that's happy for now too, right? I mean, how many marriages end in divorce? So do I add epilogues? Absolutely. Kiss Bang Boom, I do because it was too fast for them to get married. But I knew that I wanted them together. Right. So I did have that scene that they got engaged in the following Christmas because it was one Christmas and then I think a second Christmas.
Yeah.
But anyways, they had another Christmas. And so you had that epilogue. So it's really common. Becca, let's see.
Oh, she lost her connection. Blah, blah, blah.
Romance does usually have an epilogue. So it's up to you. Becca reads a ton of different kinds of romance. So I'm going to say it's safe if you have it. You don't have to have it, but people like it. They like to see that their couple is still together. And again, if you're doing a series, they'll see that in the next book. So it's up to you.
So if English is not your first language, would you mention that? I would mention
Yes.
it. Not just because it might explain if there are some idiomatic things that might seem a little unoriginal to an agent, but also I'm not gonna lie, and especially in the United States, that gives you a little bit of coolness. It's like I'm a bilingual or trilingual author. That's no one gets mad that you have a better grasp of more than one language. That's a selling point. I would definitely say that because it also gives them a sense that you have a broader worldview.
Yeah,
I would definitely include that.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think who's the woman who writes the female Sherlock Holmes. But English is not her first language, and you wouldn't know it from the books, but I'm
Mhm.
sure, but she's like, hey, it's not my first language. So somebody does go through and fix what needs to be fixed, but you'd never, like, I don't know. It's just one of those things. We're not all great with grammar. I think somebody who's learned English is probably much better with grammar than somebody who's just grown up
Just
with
been
it.
throwing it out all day long.
Yeah. Okay,
Also, it is a way to set you apart. It is a way, it makes you a little bit more memorable. It tells them that you understand how language works in more than one platform.
Yeah.
Definitely. Anything you can give that sets you apart in any way is worth mentioning.
Yeah.
Like Randall's an excellent door walker. I would definitely include that. Randall gives great face. That's going to be on his.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions?
Who's coming to GenreCon? Anyone on the fence or who's committed or pitching even just virtually?
Yeah. And if you go to askigw.com, yay, Scott, of course you are. We need you there.
You better be there, man. You're right.
Oh, questions on self-publishing. Yes, Paxton, I'm sorry I missed you. Okay, so I am what is considered a hybrid author. So I self-publish and I have a publisher, traditional. So my mysteries are typically, so I just sold 3 books to Rowan Prose Press. So I will have 3 mysteries coming out with them in next year, starting January.
And they're amazing.
Yeah, it's fun. Anyway, but they're fun. But the romances I tend to indie publish because I am actually a control freak. And so for me to be able to change the price and do an ad and do the things, that to me is easier. Beck and I actually have 2 books that are traditionally published, and we would love to get the rights back, but we're too lazy. But we need to get the rights back. But it's different too, because it depends on where your readers are from. If they're romance readers, indie publishing is perfectly fine. Mm-hmm. If you're writing fantasy, even Brandon Sanderson is now traditionally published. He had a huge following and was able to do it indie publishing. But there's a lot of genres that it's harder for you to find your readers without traditionally publishing.
But if you are indie publishing, learning how to make a submission packet still serves you, because that's still your marketing material.
Yeah.
It's great if you're trying, because you're going to have to do your own marketing. You're going to have to get on the podcasts and reviewing sites, and they're going to want to know that you can send a short synopsis, a long synopsis, a blurb, a log line. You still need all the marketing material. This is just, you're just going to use it double duty, because guess what? When you send this synopsis and your query and your log line in to an agent and an editor, they're going to use it for your marketing material too, because nobody wants to write the synopsis, not even your agent.
Yes. And I will say, we have Elizabeth Croft from Kimberly Cameron Agency. And one of the reasons I reached out to them to ask them to come is Helena Hunting is one of Kimberly's clients. And Helena has a hybrid career. So she has some of the funniest books I've ever read. Pucked is one of, is it Pucked, Becca? Pucked is one of the funniest books I've ever read in my entire life.
It's a hockey romance.
It is. And I'm going to tell you, there is no way in God's green earth that any traditional publisher is going to touch that title in a million years, or the subject, or anything in it. It is just so funny. But Hallmark's, I say Harlequin's never going to touch it, because some of it will offend some of their readers. You look at like St. Martin's Press, you look at all of these different publishers, they are giving a product that they know will sell to their readers. If your product doesn't fit that category, they're not going to sell it. And so Helena does indie publishing for the stuff that is really funny and that I love. And then she does traditional publishing for the others. And it's, she's publishing it with the big 5. And I got to tell you, I like the indie published books better. I find them funnier than the other ones. Are cute and sweet and fun and everything, but they're safer. And so
And
it just depends on where you are.
One of our presenters at GenreCon is Misty Simon, who
Oh my God, she's
gives
so
the
funny.
most amazing and insane workshops you've ever been to. She's like TNT, just exploding all over the room. But she had a really good point. You don't have to try to please everyone. You just need to find your readers. So if you write like gerbil mysteries, there is somebody who wants to read a gerbil mystery. Don't try to please everyone writing, you know, everything. Find your audience and write to them. Write what you love.
Because as much as you may love or hate Amazon, the one thing they did for authors is they proved to the traditional publishing industry that, oh my God, people actually do want to read stories about Black Americans and people from other countries and other religions and other, you know,
and they want to read reverse harems and tentacle porn, and they want to read, you know, mysteries in space, things that Random House would never touch.
Yeah, and you'll have people who say, I'm not taking any vampires, we're not doing vampires, we're not doing cowboys. Vampires and cowboys will always sell.
Yes.
They'll always sell. So just because they aren't selling them doesn't mean that you can't find your audience. Right. You just have to find your audience, which Misty does a great workshop on that. She actually, and she's going to do it again because we both missed it last time.
I know, because we were working.
Yes. Rude. Oh, thank you.
Yay.
Becca put in link for it. God, that's a funny book. We listened to it we had the audio book and we listened to it on the way to our conference, and we met up with Sheila and Lynn at a gas station, and Sheila was like, I want to go in their car. That was so funny.
But any more questions? I know we have folks who are not writing romance or mystery, which we've hit the hardest, but the rules are all the same by genre. I can't see what the question is. Oh,
yes. Yeah, Becca, we were laughing so hard. Yes, it's ridiculous. It is. And it's, like I said, it's a funny book, but I can understand, you know, it's kind of like,
it was niche.
Yeah. It's like HBO versus NBC, right? So your traditional publishers are going to be more like ABC, CBS, NBC. And indie publishing is perfect for Netflix,
right?
You know, Showtime, HBO.
Now, a word about that with indie publishing. Readers who really dive into genre in indie publishing, they know their genre really well. So you better as well. When we talked about genre promises, if you have questions about that, email us. We can do another freebie on genre promises.
Yep.
It is really important that you read your genre and understand what readers expect. Because especially people who gobble up indie books, they will eat you alive if you mess with them, if you break their rules.
And I wanted to say, if you do come to GenreCon and you get a request, we did this last year too, we're going to do a follow-up workshop again, going over your pitch and your query letter and your synopsis. So we're going to hold your hand through the process, because it's
but if you really pitch and you get a yes, we'll give you a whole pack like this, but more specific for your particular pitch.
Yeah.
Do you recommend Ingram over Spark, Amazon over Ingram Spark?
Okay, I personally do not love Ingram Spark. I prefer Amazon and draft to digital. So, so Charlene is asking, when do we find out who you get? So you can fill out, like, you can add in all the people you want, and it's literally first come, first serve. The cutoff date is August 10th.
We will let you know within a few days after August, and I have to get in there and do that crazy, I sit on the floor and lay out 4,000 pieces of paper and move everyone around. And I have you ranked by when you get in there. So the sooner you get in, the sooner we will get you in to see your agent.
Okay, so
Ingram Spark. Right,
Ingram Sparks. Okay, so Ingram Spark, I don't love as much as I love Amazon and draft to digital. Draft to digital is so easy to put it on every site everywhere. Like, so I'm selling books in London, in Germany, in India, and I don't have to do anything about it. Now, I do have some books that are Amazon Kindle Unlimited, and those are all of Becca and I's spicy ones. We have what is it called? I can't remember. I don't know. Flirty Bits of Fluff. So we call our Flirty Bits of Fluff or our sexy smexy ones. So those are all on Kindle Unlimited. But then my other books are wide. But what's beautiful about it with draft to digital, it's super easy to say unpublish it, and then at Christmas time everything's on KU. So I can do KU for,
Kindle Unlimited.
Kindle Unlimited for a month. You sell a whole bunch, and then you go back to going wide. So both Amazon and draft to digital will allow people to get your paperback in any way, shape, or form. If you have it through Amazon, it can sell on Barnes and Noble. It can sell on Kobo, which, honest to God, people, Kobo is huge. It's huge outside the United States of America, but it's really great. Another thing about draft to digital that's awesome is they do libraries, and libraries are a fabulous way to find your readers. So
For those of you who are listening to this and all you're hearing is wah, 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 think about going traditional.
Yeah.
That's me. That's why I went traditional, because I'm literally not smart enough to suss this out. I'm too lazy, and I hate technology. So it's important that I go traditional.
Yeah. And there's a Facebook group called Wide for the Win. Yeah.
I'm mystified in that group. I'm in that group and I'm like, I don't know what anyone is talking
They
about.
have this tree of knowledge that has all the information you want to know, and it updates it regularly, and you can post questions. But I really I am sold on Amazon and draft to digital. So,
And if you're coming to GenreCon, make sure you talk to other authors that are there. Everybody is fumbling around. Amanda Hoosier, she's always on the cutting edge of what's the next thing to happen.
Yep.
Talk to people.
Yes.
It's a very, very friendly group. Lulu, Christy Smith is there. Randall Drum. I don't think Randall's going to make it. Are you going to be at the conference, Randall? Randall's like, I'm out of here. No.
God,
Dude,
that's
you're
2
dead to me.
years.
You're
2
dead
years
to me,
in a
Randall.
row.
But
Well, I put in a comment that said I should be there next year. I already blew out my conference budget for this year. I went to StokerCon in Connecticut, so.
That's fair. But any con you go to, talk to other authors. It is a very, very cooperative community.
Yeah.
Talk to people, brainstorm with them, share your ideas, see what groups they're in, and you can just be like, you know what, I'm totally lost.
And
Help me.
if you're going to RWA or you're going to our conference and you run into Jen Graybill,
Oh my
talk to
God.
her. She's
so
lovely. Good at helping you find the answers to your questions. She's been in the business for so long.
With zero judgment.
Yes, she is amazing. So she's giving free one-on-ones at our conference, and I guarantee you she's doing the same thing at RWA. She's just phenomenal. I cannot.
Can't say enough about her.
Yeah,
Lovely.
she's amazing. So,
And of course, you can always email us at askigw@gmail.com.
well, McLean, Hyde, I hope you find us. You better,
Oh,
you better
who's
say hi.
that? Hi, puppy. Oh my goodness. As a begum. Lead with that. If you're look for an agent with a dog. If you're pitching, see who's into dogs, man. No one can resist the floof.
No.
Toe beans for the win, always. All right, any more questions? I'm guessing that's not. I've got some
Okay. All righty.
Thank-
Well, we're going to go ahead and end this. Don't be afraid to contact us. We really, really, really do answer our emails. And
if you want a recording of this, can we send it? Yeah.
I'll put it on my, I'll put it on Ask IGW under free writer resources.
Yeah.
I will load this sucker up there. Okay. And I'll get the 18 questions thing up there somehow. Yes.
Awesome.
And I'm so glad you guys enjoyed it. I hope we get to see all of you in person someday soon.
Yay.
Thank you so much for coming.
Right on.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.